Hello, all. This is John Pinto, your roving realtor, bon vivant, podcaster, video blogger, Sky King impersonator. Our subjects today are using drones and certified drone pilot categories to do home inspections. And on this video, I'm going to introduce you to FAA certified remote pilot Eric Syren. How are you doing, Eric?
Very well, John. Thank you.
Good. And his tail gunner, Rafael Betances,
Hello, everybody.
and also Northern California HomeGuard rep. So I was looking on your website and I noticed that HomeGuard was introducing drone home and roof inspection services. And as I mentioned in a prior video, sometimes I'm ambivalent about suggesting to my homeowners that they order a roof inspection, especially if they have more brittle, vulnerable ceramic tiles, concrete tiles. You don't see too many dried out shake roofs too much. But when you're having any kind of traffic up there, whether it's from a roof inspection or a satellite installation or an antenna installation or removal or a skylight, you're always subjecting the roof to potential damage. So, could you use that reality as an introduction into why you guys have decided to and are conducting drone inspections?
Yeah, absolutely. And a great point you bring up, John. There are roofs where you just don't want to walk around on that roof because there's really no way to do it without causing damage. Now, even though our roofers do this as a living, they know how to walk on the roof. There are different concrete tile roofs. There's a lightweight concrete tile that you don't walk on because you're going to damage that. There are tile roofs where they've overlaid a shake roof, very fragile. No one's ever going to be walking around on that. And as you said, terracotta tile, again, those are going to be quite old and brittle and very vulnerable to damage. So how do you get up there and see what's going on with the roof, which is a very expensive component of the house? HomeGuard decided that we would get our inspectors licensed, FAA certified, basically, to use a drone to fly up there to take a look at the roof. If you're a roof inspector, and if you're a property inspector, you're looking at the roof, chimney, anything there is to look at up at the second story and first story of the house. And the other thing, if you don't feel comfortable getting up on two stories as a home inspector, and you're not required to do that, as the buyer, I still want to know what's going on up there. In a way, I don't really care that you don't want to go up there. Can you give me some more information on the second story of that roof? Absolutely. We can fly our drone. It's 1080p, 4K, high resolution camera on this drone. We can see cracks and chips. We can see damage. And basically, we can see just as well as if we had walked around on that roof for you. And there's some good examples of what you'll see. That's actually a cow shake roof. Don't see too many of those, but that's the reason why you don't. There's the home right there. And if you're the buyer, you definitely are going to want to know about that situation before you sign those final documents. And you can see slip tiles. You can actually see right at that peak, you can actually see the underlayment. So the sun's going to burn that out, and then the rain's going to come and it's going to be a roof leak, guaranteed.
Yeah, I see the skylight too, which is a vulnerable spot.
Yep.
So let's wax poetic, Eric, on the kinds of things that you're looking at, looking for. I'm figuring at the top of the list is the hip and ridge shingles.
Exactly. Especially those concrete tile roofs. It's a great roof. Honestly, they can last 40 or 50 years, but they are subject to tiles slipping out of place, and they are subject to tiles cracking. Just the temperature differential can make that concrete tile crack in half. So you're going to want to make sure you address those things and see those things before you actually purchase that house.
Okay, and you're probably looking at the fireplace cap and the screen to keep flying debris away from the trees.
Right. You need, in order to burn a fire, you got to have a cap and a screen. We're going to look at that. We're going to look at that flashing around the chimney and all the flashings at all the roof penetrations, plumbing vents, etc. Anywhere where the roof's vulnerable to leakage, basically.
And what kind of a view do you get on the shoulder of the fireplace, so to speak, where it might be most vulnerable to cracking at the roof line?
Yeah, we can actually, it's a beautiful thing. We have a zoom feature on that camera. We can zoom right into the top of that shoulder, to the crown of the chimney. We can look at that and see if it's cracked or damaged. You got loose mortar, broken bricks, all of that stuff we can see from our drone as if we were right there on the roof.
Okay, and we saw those very helpful pictures of the roof field, so I don't think we
Mhm.
need to go there. You're probably taking a pretty good look at the gutters, if not even the downspouts, correct?
Right, exactly. Yeah, especially second story, no one wants to put a ladder up there and get up there and clean those gutters out, and then seal those seams up. But it needs to be done at least every 4 or 5 years as far as the sealing goes, and at least once a year if you're in an area where there's trees around, you want to get those gutters cleaned out. We can get a great view of that with the drone.
Let's wax poetic on a more obscure item. I always like to tell stories and anecdotes. I was talking to my neighbor across the street who will go unnamed, saying to him or her, so there's no chance that anybody can identify her or him, um, that I suggest that you cut away the tree branches from your roof and from your gutters because you have a little freeway for vermin and rodents to get in
Right,
your attic. And the answer was, that's my neighbor's tree. And I said, yes, but they will be your rats.
right.
So could you enlighten us on what you look at in terms of overhanging branches on trees and what kind of threats they might pose to a homeowner, whether it's vermin or even high winds?
Right. Um, Definitely. The tree hanging over, like you said, it's a highway for all the rodents, squirrels, rats, what have you in your neighborhood. They're going to get up there because they're looking for a nice, dry, warm spot to get into, and they will cause their own damage. If there's a hole or some gap not big enough, they're going to chew a hole in your roof. Now there's going to be an open penetration where the roof could leak. And the other thing is you don't want tree branches hanging over. Not only are they dropping leaves and debris on the roof in a high wind, they're banging around on there. They can actually cause damage, break tiles. I've seen them actually rip holes in comp roofs. So it's always a good idea to keep everything trimmed away from the roof and off the house.
Last but not least, I don't see it very often, but you have seen it all. What about the electrical supply lines, cable supply lines, and any other lines coming into the house? Do you ever uncover with the drone any breaches or problems or hazards with those lines?
Oh, absolutely. If you have overhead wiring, there could be tree branches in the wiring pulling on that mast. Now that mast is under tension, that's no longer sealed. And again, those things are made of plastic and rubber. They will deteriorate over time. If you couldn't get up there, you couldn't realize that that is damaged. And a big thing is there are actually coatings where those wires come in. I mean, there's 220 volts of electricity coming in the house. Over time, that covering can break down, and you can actually have exposed wiring up on the roof that could be a hazard if anyone went up there and didn't realize that.
Oh, especially in wet weather.
Exactly.
Yeah, good. So, Rafael, isn't it amazing the obscure topics that Eric and I can come up with?
Oh, absolutely. 100%. And it's all about fluency too. So you guys do great.
Well, it makes you very happy and confident that you are gainfully employed by HomeGuard, such a fantastic company that provides so many fantastic services, doesn't it?
That's correct. That's
Yes.
correct. And that just makes the home guard experience, as we were speaking in previous videos, that much more special. You know that the people behind your service, know their stuff. So
Yeah.
Good. Eric, what did I forget to ask you that you would want to impart to our viewers?
Well, there are some certain situations where we might not be able to use a drone. Since we are bound to FAA rules, there are no-fly zones. There are areas, if you're too close to an airport, that we may not be able to fly the drone. So just be aware that not every single property that we inspect will be able to use that drone.
Okay. And finally, I remember a couple of years ago when inspection companies, photographers, who knows who, were running amok unregulated, and the California Association of Realtors got involved in the legislation. Could you explain to us the kinds of legislation that has passed that regulates these kinds of drone activities?
Yes, and you're exactly right. California Association of Realtors lobbied and basically said this could be a hazard if this is unregulated, because we don't want people flying around either creating damage, creating situations with neighbors and things like that. So that's all regulated. And as I said in the previous podcast, you need to be an FAA certified pilot in order to fly a drone for a commercial purpose. So that includes inspections, people that do photography to show you on your open house or on your website. So all those guys need to be certified and licensed. Don't use anyone that is not, because you're opening yourself to liability if you use someone like that.
Very good. Based upon my earphones, my goggles, my flying cap, and my flying jacket, do I look like I could be qualified to fly a drone at some point in time?
Absolutely. I thought you flew into the airport this morning right before we started this.
That is one of my photographs behind me, the virtual background of the very nice skies we often get in Napa. I thought it might be appropriate along with this costume as we talked about your flying experience. So, very good. Thank you for imparting all that information. It's highly enlightening. And Rafael, how do people get a hold of you if they have any questions or need to order any reports?
Absolutely. You guys can either call me or text me at 707-616-8762. And guys, just remember, like I said earlier, this is what makes the HomeGuard experience, so great. It's the fact that we are capable of providing this top quality service, this up to par industry standard service. So keep that in mind when you guys are, getting the services for your clients, et cetera, et cetera.
Thank you, Rafael and Eric. Thank you for tuning in, and we will see you on the next video.